Welcome to this special transmission on Views on News. This is Omer Khalid but standing in to be continuing, of course, our discussion on the survey report, the Pakistan Economic Survey 2024-2025 that was unveiled today by the Finance Minister Aurangzeb Saab. He also answered a lot of the questions by the media, and he talked about the salient features of the economic survey and what led to the current state of affairs as far as Pakistan's economy is concerned, what were the good, what were the bad, what were the highs and what were not. And of course, we are all looking forward to his budget speech tomorrow afternoon as well. His the speech as far as the economic survey today was also concerned was also a bit before time as per the usual standard operating procedures for such a briefing is concerned. Nevertheless, it was interesting, it was important, and in the whole perspective of the global geopolitical or geostrategic or geoeconomic situation, it was extremely pertinent that our finance minister answer a lot of the queries that were put forward by those who were listening to his speech as far as the economic survey is concerned. A lot of important things that he talked about. I just want to reiterate that he talked about the global GDP growth that was reduced, and he said that Pakistan's GDP was also impacted because of that. He talked about the 2.7% GDP growth in Pakistan that he said was fantastic. He said that they were moving in the right direction. He talked about the policy rate that was 22% in the last year, but he said there was an increase in 1100 basis points as far as the policy rate is concerned. He's also talked about inflation that dropped from 23% to 4.6% in 1 year's period. And of course, there were different other important things that he talked about. He talked about the right sizing of the ministries that is going to take place, and there's a whole procedure that is going to be followed by the current government. He talked about the remittances, how important those were. He said that imports had increased by 12%. He said the individual tax filers had doubled. Of course, that is a good omen in the right direction as well. He talked about the 74% additional retail registration that was witnessed in the last fiscal year, and the 4.8% growth that was witnessed in industries, among other important details regarding our economy. We have been joined by three guests. Let me introduce them to you one moment. Two are studios and one will be joined online a bit later in the show. In the studios, we've been joined by Humayun Iqbal. Shami Sahib is the president of Pakistan Economic Forum. Humayun Sahib, thank you very much to have joined us. It's my first interaction with you. Thank you very much to have given us the time. Our second guest is Sultan Haider Sahib. He's an expert in political economy. I've seen you many a times in this time slot, but this is also the first time that we are interacting on a one-on-one level. So thank you very much to have joined us. The pleasure is all mine, more than you can expect. And of course, our third guest will be joining us a little bit later in the show. We'll begin with Humayun Sahib. Humayun Sahib, so many important things to discuss as far as the economic survey is concerned. First of all, what were the important points that you took out? When I was discussing previously in the show, they said that what a lot of people thought was important was that the DNA of our economy, as the finance minister said, needed to be revisited. How important was that comment and other comments when the finance minister also talked about the issues that Pakistan was facing economically and that had to be tackled with?
Thank you very much. Actually, if you look at the economic survey and the discussion by the finance minister right now, I think the economic survey for this year, current financial year, is I won't say that it's a very we have achieved something very big. I cannot say this thing, but it is not very bad. It's goes into middle. As far as the GDP is concerned, that is the area of concern because only about 2.7% growth is there.
But he says he relates it to the global GDP.
Actually, every year you have something positive in globally, and now this is a global Pakistan is part of the global village, but every year something positive happens, something negative happens, so we have to see that even then about 2.7. I mean comparing it with our partners in the SARC area like India and looking at even Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, so we are still lagging behind. So I think they also are the part of the same region. But anyhow, the thing is that there are some positive things in that, like that our GDP has crossed about $400 billion mark. This is a very increasing. and then in real term our per capita has increased, and I think it's a good sign. But there are other factors also apart from the growth of the, because growth is very minute, 2.7, and about when we look at the population rate, which is about 2.5, so it's almost static. We are almost static in the growth, so nothing bad. But because due to the rupee stability and all these things, in the dollar term we have definitely achieved the GDP growth, and we have achieved the the per capita also. So it's better. These things, remittances have increased enormously, about 30% increase there. And then forestry is the one thing, we're about 3% more than that. And then small industry has grown about 8%, which is good. Overall industrial production is gone down, particularly the large scale manufacturing. That's really an area of concern. So that's because that this relates to our this mass employment, and then taxation, most of the taxation coming from the large scale industry, and then our export also depends on most of the export depends on the large scale industry. So I mean, these things is a mixed.
It's a mixed bag. This is what you're trying to say.
But looking at the scenario, what he has explained, obviously there are certain factors. And recently we have gone through a trauma. That the clash and
with the eastern neighbor,
almost a full war between two countries, and that was also something area of concern. Then there have been, I think, due to export sector was hit some, and even our growth also, I must say, because there was some blockade of roads in the Sindh area. So that also, last year our export was behind. So I mean, this is a sad thing, but overall I think balance of payment is, and we have a surplus balance of payment. This is a very, because at time when we
1 trillion rupees reduced in local debt, that is a big amount.
Yeah, but that is most of that because when you have decreased the inflation, inflation rate has gone down, that is also, and when the bank rate has gone down, monetary rate has gone down. So obviously it helped us to stabilize our overall debt, how much debt we are owing. So it has definitely decreased. So but at the time in 2022, 2019, when we went to the IMF, and then again we went in 2022 probably. So at that time our external liabilities were a big issue for us, because there was a lot of deficit in the balance of payment. So this is why we went to the IMF, but now I think those have eased down.
That is a very important point that I'd like to ask Sultan Ali Haider. Sultan, the thing is that our finance minister kind of alludes to the fact that we no longer really go to lenders as much as we have been going in the past as well. And of course, as Humayun Sahib has also talked about, there's a lot of stability as far as the balance of payment is also concerned. And of course, we are extremely good clients when it comes to any lender. We have seen the relationship that we've had with the IMF. We've never gone to default. So any lender would love to continue its relationship with us. But nevertheless, I think it's important to stand on your own 2 feet without the help of lenders. I'd like to understand, what do you foresee as far as this whole relationship with the donor agencies, IMF, World Bank, and many others is concerned? Do you feel there's going to be less of dependence if the current way our economy is moving forward is concerned, or more needs to be done in order for us to achieve that?
It's a very interesting question, very, very interesting question. I'll tell you why. Because first of all, we need to understand what the dependence is for, okay? Because if we look at that, previous programs of IMF in the last 5-7 years, so we were talking about few $100 million installment coming in, and 1.5 billion and 2 billion. Now we have a program of 7 billion, right? And now even if we look at our remittances, right, so it has gone way up, right? So in terms of the amount of money that IMF is giving, it's not too much. So 7 billion staggered over certain time, so an installment coming in of $600 million, it really doesn't make a difference in terms of finances is concerned. So what IMF does is, and why we need to go back to them, because IMF is sort of an agency that provide a certification that yes, this economy is in trouble to the external creditors and investors, but they have a plan. We have seen their plan. It's a workable plan, and we also saw there were these certain gaps in their plan in terms of financing, maybe. So we are plugging in the gap. So IMF is putting in
It's
some
kind
of
of
their
that
money.
recommendation letter that you get when you
Recommendation
apply for
letter.
a job.
Exactly, but it's more than that. In terms, they have a plan from A to B and B to Z, right? Now, what they also do is they provide another certification or assurance to the external lenders, right, or external investors, that not only they have a plan, we have seen the plan, it's a workable plan, but we are going to monitor that plan, and we are going to ensure that they honor their plan, right? So, in terms of, there has been a lot of discussion. My view is a bit different.
All right.
Because usual talk is IMF conditionalities, very harsh conditionalities, and now IMF is putting pressure, you didn't meet that condition. No, but the problem is once you agreed to those conditionalities in the beginning of the program, usually we have been very lazy. So 1 year down the road, there is a review, then they find out, okay, we haven't been able to do that. No, so if we agree to something, we should have done that. Now what has been happening is, one is a discipline over the last 4 or 5 years
Okay.
has improved
All right.
significantly,
All right.
So different finance ministers coming in, right? But gradually, slowly but surely, IMF has also been stricter. So that way, and now we are also seeing the results. Okay, so one thing is that. Secondly, in terms of future, in terms of direction, right? So what I see is that our economy went through a shock in the last 2-3 years, right? So it was like, in investment terms, it was like catching a falling knife, right?
Not easy.
Okay, so, and our economy shrunk. Fact of the matter is, it shrunk, and now from that, it has gone into some growth. The growth is, long-term average of our economy, GDP growth is 4.4%. We have a small base compared to other Asian economies, so we would like to compete with India and China and, you know, all of those economies, so Asian tigers, so it would be about 8% growth, 8 to 10% growth. We have experienced that, we have seen that, and that brings in the euphoria. So that's what he was also alluding to. It's not exciting 2.7%, but to me, why 2.7 is exciting, that means in corporate terms, we have made the turnaround.
All right.
We have made the turnaround, so all of our indicators, so our GDP is positive in terms of growth, our foreign FX reserves have increased, current account deficit, remember for so many years, for last decade, we have been trying to fix the current account deficit, and the previous decade, I would say from 2010 to 2020, so we were more of an consumption-led economy and
$9.5 billion
growth.
the current account deficit currently.
Right? So now we are in a surplus. Now we are in a surplus. So
The surplus
surplus is
stands
9.5
billion.
So lot of growth which was happening in the previous decade was consumption. So we had importers importing a lot of stuff. Everyone was having a great time, and we have paid the price of that. So now where we stand in terms of future, I think good thing is people have gone through a lot of pain in terms of taxes. We see the tax growth, right? So that means people are paying that. In terms of fuel prices, in terms of other tax rates, people are coming into tax net. But now we are also seeing the benefits that currency is stabilized. We have the FX reserve, so we do not have the pressure, you know. So now the story is how we go towards the growth side. My closing comment on this in terms of future is that finance ministry or minister or all the people who are managing the economy in terms of planning minister, they cannot do more than this. Now it is the people who have to do business, right? Invest in businesses and come up with growth, however the economy is structured. And that is where some of the green shoots like small business growth, so they are very healthy and positive trends. A lot of work to be done, but I think we have gotten back onto the track.
All right, we have gotten back onto the track. We've been joined by Dr. Hafiz Muhammad Usman Rana. He's a leading economist. Hafiz Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. I'd like to understand, as Sultan Saab says that we have, moving in the right direction, we are on the right path towards it. What more, in your point of view, should we expect, maybe from tomorrow's budget, maybe in the next weeks or months, in order to further, push ourselves in the right track?
Thank you so much for having me. On paper, yes, it's a remarkable drop. Statistically, if you see the decline in the headline inflation from 23% to 4.6% is indeed a commendable development and indicative of a return to a measure of macroeconomic stability. However, if you see the picture on the ground is more complex. While if you see core inflationary pressure, particularly in food and fuel, have eased somewhat, the cost of essential services such as healthcare and education remains elevated, uh, disproportionately affecting lower income households. So that said, there are encouraging signs. Government, they have done really good part, like market confidence has improved, notably in the post-conflict environment, aided by the continued support of bilateral partners. Several of whom have extended debt rollovers. So the United States even have signaled openness to trade agreements, and even Russia has expressed interest in revitalizing the strategic assets such as the steel sector. So these developments suggest that the government's efforts are yielding results through the benefits are not yet evenly distributed across the city. But the recoveries shows and the economic survey results, the indicators shows a mixed approach, and it's a mixed signal. So the quick in imports, particularly in capital goods like transport equipment and machinery, that suggests some improvement led momentum. However, given the relatively modest export growth and still constrained large scale manufacturing, a sizable portion likely reflects consumption recovery. So, for a durable trajectory, for a long term, the economy must pivot from demand led impulses to export and investment driven growth. So on the other side, if you ask me regarding the FBR stuff, like we still have to broaden the tax base,
It
like at
has increased
26.
substantially, but more, of course, needs to be done. This is what is the general outlook of analysts that I've talked to. But nevertheless, the number has increased quite significantly in the last fiscal year. What more, in your point of view, now that you talk of the tax base, needs to be done?
Sorry, I can't hear you properly.
Hafiz Saab, can you hear me properly now?
Uh, I think you are talking about the FBR.
Yeah. So FBR, FBR, and of course, this is something that has been, talked also by the finance minister. He was praising the FBR and its measures as well. But in your point of view, what more needs to be done by the FBR in order to further, move on this road?
Yes, a 26.3% revenue surge, which is a good number, and record refunds reflect administrative improvements. But on the other side, sustaining this requires structural upgrades, digital audits, taxpayer outreach, and improved dispute resolution to prevent the slippage, basically, or reform fatigue. So that kind of things that really needs to work on in the longer run. Also, if those who are unbanked, like 53% of the population in Pakistan, they are unbanked. So we have to get into the tax revenue. Also, if you see the cash economy, 9.3 billion, trillion that we got at the moment, the cash economy. So we have to attract people, and we have to develop a system like this where we can attract those people who are not using the bank at the moment.
All right, Dr. Rana. Of course, there are good measures and there are those that we need to work upon. There is a lot of talk that the finance minister also alluded towards as far as the sectoral recovery is concerned. Is Pakistan, in your point of view, this is my last question to you, entering a new macroeconomic cycle? as far as its economy is concerned?
So if you talk about like at the moment, tomorrow's budget, uh, we need to know that there are two budgets we are going to have. And one is the regular IMF budget, and the other one is we got climate budget as well. And that is for 28 months program and $1.4 billion that we need to get from the IMF. So in that case, we need to have policy like if we go for renewable energy promotion, or we need to tax on renewable energy because on the other side you can see there's a capacity charges payment as well. So it's the biggest challenge for the government to tackle with that. And also we have a circular debt, and on the other side, large manufacturing sectors that are out that actually underperformed in the last year as compared to the small manufacturing sector. So what governments they need to do, they need to incentivize the large manufacturing sectors in terms of energy tariffs. Also, they need to attract corporate investments, both domestically as well as internationally, uh, to help large manufacturing sectors. Like we have a neighbor, China, they are doing like this. You have an example of BYD, who's actually large manufacturing of automobile at the moment, and they are competing with Tesla in the global market. So if you want to really improve the numbers, you need to work with the provincial governments, because only one federal government cannot do this one alone. After the NFC, as well as after the other agreements that we have, and we are in the coalition government right now. So all parties, they need to sit in the table and they need to come up with the long-term plan rather than 5 years or 2 years plan. We will go for a 10 years plan, and that will be consistent if we want to have a sustainable growth. So that is the key to success and improving the economy in the future.
A long-term plan is the key to success. Thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz Muhammad Usman Rana, to have joined us online and to have given us your point of view as far as today's, of course, report is concerned and the upcoming budget that will be announced tomorrow afternoon by our Finance Minister is concerned. Coming to you, Humayun Saab. Humayun Saab, a lot of people talk about, Usman also talked about long-term measures, long-term plans, 10-year plans. How can we, if we move in that direction, make things sustainable for such plans to be implementable over this period of 10 years? Because a lot happens politically in 10 years.
Political stability needed, then sustainable of policies are required. That is the only way you can achieve a 10-year or 5-year plan. So, but even if we see substantial growth every year, and if we look forward for yearly basis also, it's not bad. Looking because if our numbers are increasing, are coming better and better every year, so obviously it will affect our long-term planning. So, but that's another thing. But in Pakistan, you know, there has not been a political stability for the last so many years. Then every new government come with a new policies. So policies are chosen. That is a big
There
concern.
needs to be a consistency as far as especially important policies are
At least
concerned.
policies should be there should be consistency in there, because in the foreign country, in the West, you know, the government in Japan almost every year government is changed, you know, but their policies never change, you know. So this is why. But here the problem is there that the businessman has no trust, you know. Particularly this is why we are lacking behind in FDI. If you look at this figure, foreign direct investment is very negligible in Pakistan. Still, it's not very.
But the remittances are kind of making
remittance is another thing. That is not FDI.
I know. I'm
just. So obviously, but that is another, because you know, people now, that's a good thing that the hundi and Hawala business has has been cracked down. This is why, you know, I think the more remittances are coming. Then lots of people going, almost 1 million people going every year abroad. So you know, they'll definitely they have to support their family. So there's coming long term. Actually, basically, we have to look at the policies. You know, that's the one big area, you know, where we are lagging. I mean, still, you know, always we talk about the tax to GDP ratio. Tax to GDP very lagging. We shouldn't. I don't think that is very big issue, because now they say that we are behind India in this sense, about 4-5% difference. You know, but India, when they talk about the GDP ratio, that includes in the provinces, and the provinces they contribute about more than 4.5% of the almost of that. If they have about 15% out of that, about 5 to 6% is contributed by the provinces, whereas in Pakistan provinces do not contribute more, even 1% of the total revenue collection. So this is why that is also area here. But then another thing is this, as Usman Sahab was talking about, very rightly talking about the export-led growth. But how the export, how can we increase the growth? This year almost I think 8-9% increase hardly, you know. But the thing is this, that problem is this, that when you talk about the long-term planning, so long-term planning you have to reduce the taxes. Problem in the Pakistan is that the taxes are very high, particularly the income taxes. Now if you look at the highest tax rate in Pakistan, including the super tax, it goes about 49%. So 49 means almost 50%. So if a person struggling and doing lots of efforts, and then he earns 100 rupees and he gives government to
you
the
mean to
50
say there
rupees,
needs to be certain kind of incentivization?
that is not set, and this is that is one thing. This is why you look at this, our manufacturing sector has not grown, but particularly large scale. The main issue, unless our large scale industry doesn't go up, we will not have any surplus, we will not have any exportable surplus. So talking about that we need to export more, we need to export, but how? Thing is that we don't have,
to be evolved, and that
we don't have the exportable surplus, and exportable surplus will come from the industrial sector, and but our industrial sector is not growing much.
All right.
So this is, and the major issue, lots of other things also, but the major thing is the taxation, big taxation. New industries are not coming up, new business revenues are not coming up, trading is going up, no, but nothing with the laws. So this is why we cannot say that next year we can jump to 30% export growth. So no, it's not possible.
But at least we are moving in the right direction.
But we are moving in the right direction. There is no harm in it. We are moving but unless we don't have the what the said about the long-term planning, and I will say that we don't have the structural changes in this, you know. And then, you know, instead to go for looking at the only for the new like income tax, and income tax, I will say like this, that there has been increase of 26% this year in the tax revenue, but you know, last year government imposed 1.6 trillion new taxes. So that is also part of that. So this is why this is 26%. Otherwise, I don't think it would have been more than 10%. It would have been. So I mean that is a result of the 1.6 trillion rupees new taxes which were reported last year. So this is why we could achieve 26%. Otherwise, not possible. So, but the thing is that sector where we have to go for that is there. If the leakages like leakages in sales tax, we pay sales tax, but all of the tax which I pay, does it go to the FBRKT? No, almost 30-40%.
There is a whole issue of the tax net as well, and a lot of the sectors that are not willing to come in within the tax net, and maybe something needs to be done. This is a whole discussion that is, you know, moving.
But that need to be addressed.
Yeah, that is
to be addressed.
I agree with you.
Otherwise, you are imposing further and further taxes only to those people who are already paying taxes. So it will be a counterproductive. It is a counterproductive.
I agree with you, Sultan Sahab. The agriculture growth was 6.26%, if I'm not wrong. Did it ease food inflation in some way whatsoever? There was also an exceptional wheat and cotton crop recovery this year as well. Do you feel this was to do with policy, or this was to do with climate, and in your point of view, do we need to give more attention to the agriculture sector in the upcoming budget and in the budgets afterwards, because agriculture of course is a very, very important factor that contributes to our economy?
I think in terms of, if you look at anyone who has been studying Pakistan's economy for a longer time, right? So we can see since creation of Pakistan and then throughout the 90s, 2000s onwards, agriculture has been the backbone of Pakistan's economy, right? And I remember textile used to be huge, right? It used to be, we would export textiles, we would earn foreign exchange, everything. But that was also agri-driven, right? If we produce more cotton-based, Pakistan's growth would be higher. If the cotton-based production would go down, Pakistan's growth rate would go down. Now, one good thing that has happened is in terms of the focus. So now for the last 2-3 years, we have a very heightened focus on agriculture as a sector, right? And even in terms of initiatives like SIFC, usually we wouldn't hear when it was Board of Investment trying to bring in investment and everything, but agriculture sector would not be really the thrust of it, right? But now when you look at SIFC, so they are trying to identify, they have identified agriculture sector as one of the
Now
main.
that you talk about SIFC, I'd like to understand, do you feel it has played an important role in crowding private capital into Pakistan?
I think it has, and you see, it's also a lot of, we created a new structure and they had to do a lot of work, and also in trying to assess and ascertain, right, where exactly the issues investors are facing, right, why they are not coming. And even at times it's like having a tipping point, right? So you keep on building, you keep on addressing issues, you keep on cleaning, and then you find, okay, still investors are not coming, still they're not comfortable. Why is the issue? Where is the issue? So I think a lot of work has happened, and it is putting a lot of clarity on where exactly we should be focusing our energies on.
Okay.
And now we are seeing again green shoots on that. We are seeing individual projects where investments have started to come in, and the dividend on this will be long term in the coming years. That is my long-term assessment. However, what I would say is, in terms of agriculture sector, a lot of structural changes are happening, which, and I mean, if we know anecdotally, right, people have gone through a shock in terms of the wheat crop. So in terms of, we are trying to eradicate corruption, right? So wastage, we want to stop wastage. So PASCO was not
corruption.
PASCO.
Yes, PASCO. He said he mentioned PASCO.
That's really what I'm going. So the other flip side of that was that the farmers who cultivated, right? So they were in a state of a shock that, okay, PASCO is not procuring. So who is procuring? So private sector. So Punjab government allocating maybe, I think, 50 billion rupee fund. So a lot of transition is happening. So when the transition is happening, ordinary people, ordinary farmers, they also need to adjust, right? So now I think in terms of next year's growth, it's very important in this budget, right? So interest rates have come down. That's great news. But if more credit is allocated to the agri sector, so the farmers, because the farmers have to get the inputs, this year's crop did not yield many profits, right? In terms of wheat. So next year we need to provide them investment, so they also transition. So the whole agri economy transition. So a lot of structural changes are happening. So we need to smoothen the transition so that we hit a high growth next year.
You talked of structural changes, structural reforms. Humayun Sahib, is something that the finance minister talked about. He said that the government continued these reforms that have been elusive in the country. How important have these reforms been? Have they been implemented the way the government intended to? What more needs to be done in the coming months?
There's lots of things has to be done, and what I was talking about, that reduction in income tax, that is also structural reform. Basically, because it, these are correlated things. When I say that when you decrease the income tax or the taxes, you reduce the taxes, the growth will be, there will be more growth. The quantum of taxes will depends on the growth of the industry and the business.
But for that, more and more people need to be included in the tax net.
That is another thing. That is also part of that. So that is also part that everybody who is earning up to such extent, he has to be. But when there are the political, some majburiya, you may call it, they come, and then still we are seeing that the retailers are out of the taxes. Still this year, those, agriculture tax could not be imposed, maybe this year, I think so. But the thing is, another thing which I was saying about that, there is a very misconcept about that the decreasing in the tax rate will disturb our tax revenue. I say it will increase.
All right. And what do you back it by?
I just give you two examples of that. I give you example. There are 2-3 countries where the tax rate is very low. Like look at the Dubai, look at the Singapore, look at the Luxembourg. They are the richest country in the world. Luxembourg and the Singapore probably having the highest tax rate in the world. Because they have very low. Due to the low base tax, lots of foreign investment is coming there. They are increasing the, so you have to make your keep your cow healthy to extract more milk after that. Instead to extract milk from a sick cow, what we still are having. Our economy still is not out of the danger, still is, but not in a comfortable zone, at least I will say. So this is why these have to, then leakages. What I was saying about the two leakages, like sales tax. Taxes deducted from my salary, in sales tax I pay, I buy something, I say, but not all that taxes goes to the system. That is distributed among the FBR people, distributed among
those leakages need to be plugged in, basically.
And then the sales and then the custom duty. So these two sectors, the leakages, what I think it's more than 3 trillion rupees.
Okay.
So then I say the expenses, I call to the structural. If you really want the structural, the need to, instead to look only at the revenue side or the taxation, imposing more taxation. I have been saying last year also I also said that the government of Pakistan, federal government, is involved in all those businesses or in those areas which is not even in their domain, like Benazir income program. Last year we allocated 600 billion for that. After the 18th amendment, this sector has gone to, social sector has gone to the provinces, but still federal government is doing that. And this year, instead to, I was saying that it should be transferred to the provinces. So we can save 600 billion rupees of that.
All right.
Then the DISCOs, the distribution agencies, which are,
They talk of privatization of
no, that privatization is no solution. You cannot privatize. Privatization in Pakistan is something which is next to impossible. Look at the PIA, for the last 20 years it couldn't be privatized. Look at the steel mill, for the last about 20 years it couldn't be stabilized, because there's a lots of other hurdles.
Okay.
And even one Karachi Electric has been privatized, but still, the government is paying grant to them. So government is subsidizing them still. So so this is the only solution which the government do. Ultimately, they have to do this. I have been saying for the last 1 year. Ultimately, that go to hand over to the provinces.
Okay.
Provinces have so much surplus budget after the NFC award. About 57% goes to
So
them.
they should be given more responsibility as
They
far as
will,
how to.
and they can check that theft, which is the leakages.
Okay.
So because they are in better position, police is under the provincial government, even the revenue department, the Patwari level goes to. So these are the structural reforms which need to be done.
All right.
Instead to the looking
So
at only.
we'll see tomorrow if some of those structural reforms will be tackled with. Well, let's wait till tomorrow afternoon. Last question to you, Sultan. Haider, we're a bit short of time. That's what I've been told. Services sector has had a very modest improvement, 1.2%, 1% growth. In your point of view, if I were to ask you a very short question on what needs to be done in order to, move forward on that growth trajectory in the services sector, what would it be? And secondly, the national optimism due to the recent factors and recent issues that has reportedly been on a 6-year high. How can the government convert this sentiment that is present nationally into sustained economic momentum? So I'm bridging two questions together. Your take.
I think the second question is rather more exciting. So
Okay.
I'll start from
Okay.
right. So there's a lot of optimism, euphoria, not just in terms of Pakistan locally, but internationally. We see the whole world recognizing and sort
All
of
of a sudden
stopping,
waking up to Pakistan.
waking up to Pakistan, and they're saying, okay, there's more to the story of Pakistan, right? So, and that is what is required for investment, local investment by local entrepreneurs.
All right.
Also by overseas Pakistanis, so Pakistanis who have money and who want to invest and do
And
startup
he talked about
businesses,
FDI.
right,
This is what Humayun Sahab
so
talked about.
that's one angle of the FDI. So, and once that starts happening, that is something which will really energize the economy, right? Because our economy has turned around, so we have come out of the critical phase, you know. So the patient, we have taken out the IV fluid lines, so interest rates have come down. So
Out
we
of the
can-
ICU.
out of the ICU. So now we're talking about these are good problems to have. So how do we grow? So we need to invest, we need to create businesses, and we need to come up with growth. In terms of the services sector, what I would say is one side of the, I mean, these are arbitrary lines, but one good thing is in terms of employment. We are not focused, the younger population is not focused on traditional jobs anymore.
Exactly.
So now it's
Self-sustaining.
so self-sustaining, so IT sector, again, that is exporting skills.
Again, something that the finance minister talked about.
And the money coming in. So that is the new economy. You talk to university, not only university graduates, kids who are studying in the university and the graduates, majority of them, they never applied for any traditional job. And by the time they graduate, they have already been working as freelancers and they are doing their own startups. So that is the direction. So that is another very, very healthy structural change which is happening already in the economy.
All right.
So, and this thing is, I think, the only thing here the government can do is infrastructure support. So in terms of we are increasing our bandwidth, right? So new cable lines across the sea, and we increase the bandwidth.
We're also entering the crypto.
Right.
phase.
So crypto is happening. So opening other payments coming in and out. So it becomes so Pakistan gets onto the grid of the new economy that the world is going.
New economy, a lot of things that we are looking for as far as tomorrow is concerned. Thank you very much to both of my guests, Humayun Iqbal, Shami Saab, President Pakistan Economic Forum, as well as Sultan and Haider Saab, in political economy, to have joined us and to have discussed different aspects of it. The thing I feel at the end of it is that things are moving in the right direction. We need to push them up, boost them up, so that they continue to move in the momentum with a more rapid pace. Let's see what tomorrow has in store for us. Allah Hafiz.